All right, take two. After a series of technical difficulties that related to probably Elon Musk, we're gonna blame him today.
Musty.
We had to cut our short. I ain't gonna call him Musty. That's Elon Musk. Um, we had to cut our first attempt at this short after 7 minutes. That's what she said.
Hey,
But we
yo.
have to. But we're back now, better than ever with the full crew. We got Chris, we got myself, we got Jared Hoffman, and we got the boss man, Kim Rashad. We're gonna talk about money and lots of it today. We have a nice off topic. It's gonna be really fun. It's gonna be summer related. So stay tuned for that. For those of you who were with us like 30 minutes ago, we talked about the SWAC opting into the house settlement and the parameters of that. So to cut to the chase, the SWAC opted in as a result of that move. The settlement allows schools to opt in to create new rules to limit boosters and collectives' influence. Schools that opt in will also be subject to new roster limits and scholarship guidelines. The SWAC, since it opted in, abolish scholarship caps. So that means schools can have as many scholarship players as they can financially support. FCS rosters can expand up to 105 players for schools if they want to do that. If they don't have to, since there's no limit on roster sizes. Schools can stay at 63 scholarships, so they can go to 105 at this point. So I asked before, like, is this a good thing for the SWAC? Should they be in the business of like opting in, despite the fact that like there's going to be some inequity between what schools can afford to do and not do? Starting with Kim Rashad.
Well, we'll give this another try. As I indicated before, given the financial burden, and I'm just going to go ahead and call it a burden right now, because I think while there was obviously a lot of talk and a lot of planning involved in this process, I think that this is going to be a challenge for a number of HBCUs out there. This is going to be a challenge for especially those smaller HBCUs, Mississippi Valley State. And
Every week with you with them, Ken. Every week with you, man.
well, but okay, that's beside the point. This is going to be a challenge. Okay, it will be easier for some to navigate. Just off of the top of my head, I'm thinking, the FAMUs, the North Carolina A&Ts, maybe the Tennessee States, the Jackson State Southerns, maybe to some degree Grambling and so forth. I think they will be okay, but this ultimately is going to come down to how supportive are the so-called alums, supporters, and the constituents. Sorry, Chris Stevens. How they are going to be supportive of these programs, because this is really what this all comes down to. If you're familiar with the haves and the have-nots, the haves because they've got money, and those and the support from supporters of the program, and then they have not because they don't really get a whole lot from supposed supporters of the program. So, some of these programs have an awful lot, or the supporter of these programs, they have an awful lot of high expectations. Sometimes expectations that probably aren't necessarily realistic. But what's going to happen is that you guys meaning some of you who are avid supporters of some of these programs, your reality check is about to start. And we're about to find out just how real are you about supporting your fan, about supporting your program. You more than ever now, you guys don't have to give up. You guys don't have to step up. You can't complain about ticket sales. You can't complain about parking tickets and all of these other fees. You have to give, because now this is you are about to. I guess this comes down to. You guys are about to get a real, live, true experience of what so-called big-time college athletics is about. Because make no mistake about it, this is big time. And you're either going to have to put up or shut up. But one way or the other, a lot of a program's success is going to be due in large part to the amount of financial support that it gets from the alums. That's my honest opinion. We'll see what happens over time, but those are my initial thoughts with respect to how this could potentially impact the schools, not only in the SWAC, but for those individual programs that have opted in to move forward with this.
That's a great segue to hear from the commissioner, who talked about this last year to a group of Southern stakeholders about what was coming down the pike with this house settlement, how it impact NIL and scholarship and all this stuff. So this is what Commissioner McClellan had to say last year about this.
Settlement was $2.8 billion. Now, that $2.8 billion will not go to the SWAC student athletes that participated in the sport of football and basketball. It's going to go to those FBS Power 5 athletes. So those that are already in the NFL getting paid millions of dollars, they're getting ready to get another $2.8 billion. The Southwestern Athletic Conference contribution to that $2.8 billion is $30 million. Even though we didn't have anybody participating in FBS and we did not participate in sharing of those dollars. Southern University's portion of that is going to be $3 million over the next 10 years. So some of the revenue that you're getting from the NCAA, some of the revenue that you've gotten from the NCAA is going to go away. So I'm here to say there's going to be some challenging times from a financial standpoint. I want the board to kind of understand what this means. And the last part of this, and as I take my seat, we're getting ready to do away with what we call full scholarships as far as scholarship limitations are concerned. So in FCS at your football team, you can give up to 63 scholarships. That's getting ready to go away. We're getting ready to go to roster limits now. So football, the roster limit is going to be 105. Baseball is going to be 35. So you can give up to that, or you can stay where you are, and schools are going to have an option to opt in and opt out. So we're going to develop a best practice memo document that we're going to give to all of the presidents and chancellors to kind of help you guide. I'll be here as a resource, but kind of want to let you know that we are in a really good spot from a revenue standpoint. We're going to be just fine, but it is going to take some additional effort. We're going to have some name, image, and likeness dollars on the inside. We'll work with you to help develop that, but make no mistake about it. We are on top, and we're going to continue to stay on top. And
So Chris, two things there that struck me. One, he said, because they opt in before they actually did it, that there were going to be some financial challenges within conference institutions. And two, he said they're going to help schools try to get on track to be able to meet those obligations by opting in. So what do you make of those two different kind of like perspectives from Commissioner McClellan?
This is going to be a challenging time. I mean, we can talk about, I think what Dr. McClellan is trying to do and is going to do can help the SWAC, but as Ken said, people are going to, we're going to find out just who among the stakeholders is serious about, this whole business of college athletics, because we're entering a $1 trillion industry right now. I mean, we've passed the billion stage now. This is a $1 trillion industry at this point in time. And I think, there's a quote from Stephen Ewing, who is a Delaware State alum who runs our fundraising for our athletic program. He said this back when they announced that they were going to start raising funds for new facilities for Del State athletics. He said, anybody can come in my house and tell me it's dirty, but who's going to help me? Who's going to have a mop and bucket to help me clean it up? And that is a direct link to people, alumni, stakeholders, community people who keep every year at homecoming, they come looking for a handout or a hookup. But if you don't give something back, and after a while, ain't gonna be nothing to hand out or hook up. So, the money, you really have to be serious about donating and giving back to your institution, because the MEAC and SWAC aren't going to be able to do this alone. Yeah, we could talk about Valley struggles. We can talk about Pine Bluff struggles. I worry about UMES, even though I did have a conversation with UMES Athletic Director Tara Owens, which you can find on our website, by the way, hbcusports.com, that she said that they would be in a good position to do so with NIL because they don't have to worry about football, because UMES has not had football since 1979. Right. And if you're not had a football program since Disco Demolition Night, chances are you're not going to bring it back. So I think UMES is safe. But Coppin State I worry about, and even to a lesser extent Delaware State, because UD moving up to FBS is just going to tilt the resources that much more.
Well, Chris, let me ask you, why would you worry about Coppin State when they're kind of like in a similar situation with UMES? They have no football program.
Yeah, they don't. But at the same time, this is, and granted, they're in a better city because Mayor Brandon Scott and Governor Wes Moore actually give a darn about the black people in the state. So maybe I could take Coppin out of that. But DSU, I do worry about because it's just, so much going on. I mean, Dr. Allen has announced a hiring freeze because the money that was once there for everything else isn't there. And then, of course, you have UD moving up to FBS now. They're in Conference USA. So if you don't think that the UD stakeholders are going to start banging on the door of the legislatures to make sure that they can get new facilities that can compete with Conference USA schools, hey. And I mean, that just leaves Dell State in just I'm not Chris. I'm not. Christopher Duke says, don't leave out Dell State show. Hey, I never said we were in great shape. I said we're doing better, but that can also backtrack as well, from an athletic standpoint. So I just really worry about, I mean, I'm worried about all our D1 HBCUs, but there are a few that just really should be mindful of preserving the integrity of our institutions rather than trying to compete at an athletic level. Because sports are important, but they're not, important to risk the overall health and future of our institutions.
Yeah, Jay Hoffman, your thoughts about this?
Well, like I indicated before, I think this is going to be something that we see what schools, how important winning is to them, and what they are willing. Well, I want to save my other thoughts for when we put the with the Prairie View A&M AD said, but we're going to see how much they are invested in their athletic programs, especially the big programs like football and basketball, because this is going to be something where we have an opportunity to really level the playing field. It's just about whether or not we get the investment from not only the program itself from it, but like as Ken said, those S words and and alumni givers, that's really going to tell us, and it's going to talk about the investment of the athletes that we bring in, and if they are truly invested in the program that they're going to, or if they're just worried about their bottom line, which is lining their pockets. So I'm curious how we benefit from this in the long run, or if this is just something where it's guys using HBCU, if it's going to be what it has always been, which is guys using HBCUs as something to put on tape for improving to the FBS level. So I'm really curious if there's any what the long-term effects are, or if it's just going to be more of the same for HBCUs.
And it's a really good question here by Cusanova, who asked about Title IX. Yes, Title IX will definitely play a role in this. As mentioned before, Title IX, there's already a Title IX lawsuit currently going on right now because institutions see that most of this money that's going to be going to football and basketball and not to non-revenue or Olympic sports or women's sports. And so they want an equal share of the pie too. And as we all know, you can't do for one and leave out the other. So this is going to be something that may hinder a lot of efforts for schools to opt into the House settlement to be able to accomplish it, like Title IX restricts that. But here's Anton Goff, the AD of Prairie View. He recently spoke with the Defender Network down in Houston about the SWAC move to opt into the House settlement. And he says this: obviously, it doesn't level the playing field with Power 4. I agree. The playing field is never going to be level with them. But he said what it does do in this day and age of recruiting, you can actually take some of your budget and use it to pay student athletes or some of your revenue that you are generating, that your student athletes are generating, whether it be from corporate sponsorship, whether it be from ticket sales, or whoever you generate revenue from, you can now give a piece of that to your student athletes. He goes on to say, what a lot of people look at is opting in or opting out. Opting in, to me, it doesn't make you do anything besides the roster limits. You can't revenue share something that you don't have. So I don't have the 20.9 million or whatever that number is that the big boys are trying to figure out how to divvy up in those issues. So he is realistic about it. He said, we're not competing with University of Houston, Texas A&M, Texas Tech. We're going to stay within our realm, and we're going to do the best it is for our university and our student athletes and not try to extend ourselves just to try to get a few recruits to try to compete with schools who have way more money resources than we do. Ken Rashad, do you kind of agree with Goff's assessment of like how it's going to work for Prairie View?
Well, at least he's realistic, but he's still, and not just him by himself, but other ADs are going to still have to come up with some creative ways to make it worth a student recruits or potential student athletes while to come play for your university, regardless of the sport. Matter of fact, I think I recently, in doing the research of my upcoming book, HBCU Sports 101, there are examples of what some of these schools are doing. As a matter of fact, Kerry Davis at Howard, more particularly the Howard men's basketball program, they've implemented a partnership with a NIL outlet in which they are literally giving the players an opportunity to where people will donate to this app and they say, hey, come to this school, this money is waiting for you. They have literally each of the players on the roster, if I understand the concept, if I understand the concept correctly, each of the players on that roster basically have accounts in which donors to the program or anyone who wants to donate to that particular player can go make a donation directly to that particular player on the roster to make it worth their while to stay. And so that may be just one of many examples that we're likely going to see going forward, because again, like Anton Goff said, the schools aren't going to necessarily be in a position to where they can take part of their revenue, which is next to nothing, to share with the student athletes. So I'm guessing, and what little I know about this, is they're going to have to do whatever they can to make sure that the student athletes by themselves or of themselves are given as many opportunities as possible to cash in, if you will, to make it worth their while to play for whatever particular school that they want to play for. I mean, it really just comes down to that. That's the way I see it. I could be wrong. I mean, this is all new, so we're going to eventually see what some of these schools are going to do to make it worth a recruit's while to come and play for them, regardless of the sport.
It's definitely a new day and age because all this money that's been circulating through college athletics for decades and decades and decades. Eventually, we're going to get to this point. I know people lament the fact that, oh, college sports now becoming like the pros, and like what happened to our sports. Like once money became into the picture, once television revenue came into the picture, like we'll have to go down this road. Eventually, would have to compensate the athletes because they're the big reason why we have shows like this, why sports so popular, why schools are so popular, because of them in a lot of ways. So like it would kind of be morally wrong not to like compensate them for that beyond the scholarship. But it's going to be something like schools everywhere have to deal with and try to find the best way for them to do that. And so this is one way to do that. Everybody's not going to be able to afford to play this new game of poker that's being played right now, unfortunately, because there's an equity in resources, there's an equity in talent, but at the same time, like this pathway is a pathway that was forged long ago when schools decided, hey, we can make money by showing these games on television, or we can like charge for tickets, or we can charge for beer at college games. Like, yeah, like eventually have to like pay the freight. And now we all got to pay the freight now.
You know what? And I can't help but just go back to the early beginnings when Ed O'Bannon initially filed that lawsuit, which put this all into play. All the NCAA had to do at the time was just let these student athletes look, just let us collect some money. We probably wouldn't be in this position right now.
They wanted to maintain amateurism, Ken Rashad.
Yeah. And now amateurism is gone. All I had to do was just let these players look. You're going to put my name and my likeness on EA Sports, then let EA Sports pay me something. But the NCAA had a license with that. And they said, no, you can't do that. So they let it go. I'm just saying, fast forward, I'm trying to figure out who was it to play. I think it was a football player at Northwestern who made the argument that, a lot of other students can go out and they can get paid internships or whatever the case may be. I can't even go out and get a paid internship in my particular field of study because it might affect my amateurism status.
And Northwestern football players years ago, they decided to like form a union.
Yeah, they formed a union, right.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if the NCAA had just given just a little bit, and it wouldn't have, the thing is, it wouldn't have impacted them at all. Just let the students go out and make some money. And look where we are now.
Hard head makes a soft, you know what?
But I will simply say this. I will say this, and I'm not, with respect to the statement that Charles McClellan stated during that speech to the Southern University Board of Directors. I will just simply say this, man. Once again, for all of the foolishness that's said about him and his ability to lead this conference, or the Southwestern Athletic Conference, man, I can't think of anyone any better suited to do so. Because I honestly believe that true leadership is going to be needed in times like this. And I can't think of a better person than Charles McClellan who could possibly lead the conference to guide them into uncharted waters, because we have no idea how this is going to look around, say, this time next year. We have no idea. That's just how new. This is about as new as AI.
Not Allen Iverson.
Exactly, not Allen Iverson. But but that's my point. I can't think of a person better suited to lead the entire conference in this, man, because leadership is going to be required to get our HBCUs through this. And when I mean leadership, I'm not just talking about the commissioner level. I'm talking about ADs, presidents, coaches. It's like everybody's got to be involved.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like if you read this story from the Atlantic, it was written years ago, where it talked about like NCAA being a cartel specifically to hinder the ability of student athletes to make money, and all the ways in which they went about doing that over the years, like literally like calling them student athletes. Like that term has been used. Walter Byers, who was the old head of the NCAA, he crafted that term so descendants and relatives of football players who were severely injured or had died during competition could not sue for workers' compensation.
That's crazy.
Nasty work.
That's crazy.
Nasty work.
Yep, because at that period, like football players, especially in college, they were dying at a very high rate, to the point where like the president at the time, Teddy Roosevelt, had to step in and save college football.
Yep.
Had to save the game because they were ready to like not play it anymore.
Yeah.
It was so dangerous.
Yeah, they're about to ban the sport.
Yep. And then Walter Byers came in like, no, we're going to call them student athletes because they're not employees of the school. They don't get paid by us. They're going to pay by the school that's out there for just, fun and games, despite risking their health and their life. So yeah, like NCAA got nobody else to blame but them. But even NCAA, they don't have to pay the players either. The schools will, or third party will.
Right.
So they come off like scot-free. They just got
exactly
a bad
right
now.
Exactly right.
I think what trips me out about that is people are going to start saying things like, "Oh wow, you never know who's paying these kids," but we can make the argument that a lot of rich people today have gotten rich off of ill-gotten gains. I mean, look at the dude who runs the Musty app. I mean, his family fortune comes from blood diamonds. So, we can start this hand-wringing BS about, oh, maybe our kids could be susceptible to, shady people paying them. There's shady people with billions of dollars in every walk of life. Some of them run institutions, some of them run countries. If we're going to play a money game, then everybody should be allowed to play the money game. So that's just my take on it.
Yeah, pretty much. So our next topic, dealing with money again. That's the theme of the show. So a couple of Black colleges have decided to up the price of business. Norfolk State and North Carolina A&T decided to raise ticket prices ahead of the 2025 football season. For Norfolk State, we kind of understand why they're doing this. They reinvigorated with Michael Vick being their head coach of the football team. People interested in their program now. Got more spotlight on them and stuff like that. North Carolina A&T, they want y'all to pay the black tax. We can get into that in a minute. But so Norfolk State, they decided to raise the ticket prices from $110 last year to $200 this season. And they got all these home games against Towson, Virginia State, Sacred Heart, South Carolina State, and Morgan State. And part of the reason for this is obviously because Michael Vick's their head coach is more interested in the team, but also that they are one of the schools that opted into the house tournament. And so in order to afford to live in the penthouse now, they gonna have y'all pay their bills, and through that bill is the season ticket prices. So it's not surprising at all for them. They actually should do it, by the way. They want to make more revenue. It's one of the routes to go. Now, North Carolina A&T, on the other hand, they decided to raise the prices for individual game tickets. You can see in this graphic they put out a couple of days ago, there's a really big difference in how much some games cost and how much other games cost. And it's very, very striking. All the games against fellow black colleges are a bit more or premium games. And the games in the white school, they're going to charge you our regular prices. So, Chris Stevens, you cover the MEAC and more, and North Carolina A&T follows in the more vein. What do you make of these ticket prices going up everywhere?
Well, we just talked about it. We're gonna find out how serious these stakeholders are about, supporting their institutions. Now, I'm gonna start with A&T because that is the one that people are upset about. Let's be real about this. Who cares about Towson? Who cares about Campbell? Who cares about Monmouth? Anybody? Anyone? Bueller? No. But I can tell you this: A&T versus South Carolina State. Everybody's invested in that. A&T and Hampton. Everybody's invested in that. The Aggie Eagle. The entire state is invested in that. So if you're gonna pay these players and also keep your HBCU standing, then yes, you have to make these games premium because they matter more. They matter more. I mean, nobody cares. I mean, we'll be glad if A&T beats the feathers off of Monmouth. I mean, we'll be glad if they skin Towson and Campbell. That's cool. But it would be a lot more to those programs if they got to win against Hampton, SC State, or Central. And you got to make those games count for something. You can't just give people, you can't say, it's just going to be $10 to come watch a rivalry game that has been going on since the beginning of time. No big deal. You got to say, hey, we got to make sure we got our coins right. We got our, we got our gas money. We got money for food. You got to make everybody have their ducks in a row to give them this level of importance because these are important games. Hampton is, of course, a coastal game, but it's still an HBCU game. The Aggie Eagle is the Aggie Eagle. Say no more. And A&T versus South Carolina State has been a hotly contested game before any of us were alive. So I don't have a problem with it. As far as raising the prices for Mike Vick, don't have a problem for that either because, well, it's Mike Vick. I could see. I mean, if you were raising prices for, no disrespect, but Dawson Odoms or somebody like that, then yeah, people can be.
Ken Rashad's good friend, Dawson Odoms.
Ken Rashad's good friend, Dawson Odoms. Yes, but this is Mike Vick. This is the hometown guy who is the godfather of a lot of these modern QBs that we love today, and he came back home to help the Norfolk State football program. So yes. And when you add it up, it's really not that big. I mean, you go from $22 a game to $40 a game. So what's that? What are you going to do with that other $18? I mean, you could probably, if anything, you can probably put that towards, gas money or something. But I mean, it's an extra $18. I mean, it's not that big of a deal to me. So, and look at the games. I mean, you've got Virginia State, you've got South Carolina State, you've got Morgan State. Those are premium games. I mean, while granted, nobody, like I said, Towson, big deal, Sacred Heart, blah. But, Morgan State, South Carolina State, and Virginia State, the Labor Day Classic, it's got to cost. I mean, because it matters more. The games that matter more should cost more. And I think by and large, Norfolk State and A&T have done that, and I don't have a problem with what they're doing whatsoever.
So, Jerry Hoffman, you going to play the black tax?
I was about to say, if somebody as cheap as me, $22 to $40 is a very big deal. I'm still pissed off that Arizona ain't 99 cents no more. So
I was talking about the iced teas.
Yeah.
So that makes a big difference to me. But for real, it makes sense. It makes sense. We talked about it when we were talking about when Eddie George was calling out people about attendance at Tennessee State. Those HBCU games are the selling point. It's not just about the game itself. It's about the atmosphere. It's about the band. The band is so much more crucial when you have Tennessee State's band and you have Howard's band, or if you have Tennessee State's band and you have Jackson State. Tennessee State's band and Charleston Southern's band. Why would I want to watch that?
Charleston Southern has a band?
I don't know, but if they did, I don't want to see it. But as much as I want to see the sonic boom of the South, as much as I want to see the human jukebox, like as much as I want to see a band that I am familiar with that I know will rock a stadium. I don't know what Charleston Southern's band is gonna do. No disrespect if Charleston Southern has a band. I just pointed them out because I'm trying to think of the first OVC team I could think of, and I don't even think they're in the OVC. But anyway, like the rivalries of HBCUs is what the selling point is. So those games being premium makes perfect sense. Now I will say that I really wish that the players had a hand in the ticket prices increasing. Because that's what is most important. These players, and their development as student athletes and as young men, so the fact that we're only talking about Michael Vick, we're only talking about Deshaun, when Deion was at Jackson State, we were only talking about Deion. We weren't talking about the players on the field, but that's more on the players. They got to go out and produce. You're given the opportunity. That's your job to produce, so in a way it's not those coaches' fault that we're talking more about them than we are the players. But I mean, it makes sense that these ticket price increases are happening. I just hope that we're able to live up to the billing and we get the necessary support we need.
Yeah, so Alexander Wilson does say that Charleston Southern has a band. I guess they'll be playing some old Flight of the Bumblebee-ish or whatever, but,
Man, let me go ahead.
But yeah, to Jared's point, it is the experience. It's the atmosphere. Like we just saw Delaware State and Norfolk State move a game that probably was going to be overflow capacity anyway to a stadium that can seat a few more people. You can't, Alumni Stadium allegedly seats 7,500. I've been attending Delaware State football games for over 20 years. I ain't never seen 7,500 people in that stadium. So, but I could possibly see it with Vic and Deshaun. But if you've ever been to a Delaware State football game, you know that parking and traffic is an absolute nightmare. So it just made sense to move that game and give it some importance. Now, these stadiums, of course, A&T Stadium, I forget the name. I know it's named after a bank. I hope an Aggie or someone in the chat will let me know what the name of their stadium is. And then, of course, Dick Price Stadium seats 30 grand. So, I mean, I could see that, those venues can hold what A&T and Norfolk State are hopeful for. So I don't see that. I don't have a problem with either one of these schools raising, or as Kendrick said, the black tax, because thank you, Kusanova, Truist Stadium. So yeah, Truist Stadium is a nice size facility. Dick Price Stadium can seat a lot of people. So, but a lot of these others, I just don't see the issue with it. I mean, everything's going up these days. I mean, I just complain. I complain in the chat all the time about eggs being $10 because I bake and I cook, and I'm tired of looking at egg prices being $10 a carton. But that's the reality of the world we live in. And as Ken said, we're going to find out just how serious these folks are about the health and future of their athletic programs, because you got to pay to play.
Where you buy eggs from, Chris, for $10?
Man, ShopRite. I need to stop BSing and go back to Food Line, because Food Line has good prices on everything. But
let's not say brands because they're not paying us. They're not giving us brand deals.
You're right.
Look, let me say something about this black tax, because Kendrick, I'm telling you, that's spot on, and that's exactly what it is. I understand the sentiment behind why they're doing it. I don't necessarily disagree with any of you guys' points. Now, this isn't related to Norfolk State. I mean, if I understand correctly, they just increased the price of season tickets, correct? Yeah. Right? Okay. A&T has literally put premium prices on HBCU games, right?
Yes.
Yep.
In essence, $15 difference. Was that you got that? You got that slide? $65 for Hampton, Central, and who else?
South Carolina State.
South Carolina State. $50 for Campbell, Townsend, and who else?
Monmouth.
Not Monmouth. Look, I'm gonna say this. I understand why you're doing it, but damn it, you already know people ain't showing up to see Monmouth. You already know people aren't showing up to see Campbell. You already know people aren't showing up to see Townsend. Just make the damn ticket $65 across the board. They ain't coming anyway, even if you reduce it for $50. So, I mean, see,
But here's the thing, though, Ken. Like,
no. Let me finish this point, man, because this is the type of shit that A&T does, man, that really kind of pisses me off about y'all. I'm serious, man, because y'all think look, there's already that perception that y'all think y'all better than everyone else, and I'm sorry for using this word, by the way. There's already this perception that y'all think y'all too good for everybody else, but yet this is a perfect example of you wanting to straddle the fence. You put more emphasis, and you put more emphasis and more validation into the HBCU games from the conference that you left because you wanted to go see greener pastures, greener as in greener pastures. But yet you charge those schools $15 less to come see you play because you know damn well your own folks, your stakeholders, won't come to see them play for $50. So I guess my point is, if they're not going to come for $50, why not just go ahead and charge $65? Because you might just get a few, you can make an extra $15 or so. But yet you are openly indicating that you are placing more, you put more in those HBCU games from the very conference, from the teams that you used to play, that you left, because you overall thought you were better than everyone else. And yet clearly what we're looking at is that your fans don't necessarily think you're better than anybody because you put more, you literally are charging a black tax, as Kendrick stated. So A&T, shame on you, damn it. You need to be called out for it. You know,
my thing.
I'm not going to go so far as to say is that, but I mean, damn, look, you would have been better off just simply saying, you know what, the cost for tickets across the board is $65. You could have said this is because of name NIL. This is because of increased. There could have been a plethora of excuses you could have used, but instead you are purposely showing us your ass, and what you are purposely telling us. We put more emphasis in black dollars than we do with them white folks. Because you know your folks won't come see them play. Just make it $65 across the board and be done with it. Because people ain't coming to see them even $50. Period.
Hey,
and this is the reason why people have a problem with you.
Here's the thing, Ken. I'm going to defend A&T on this one. Like,
there's no defense. I'm telling you, feel free, but there's no defense for this.
Real quick, Kendrick, I think it's important to note that those are the reserve ticket prices. The general admission ticket prices, I believe, were $50 for the premium games, and it was $40 for the regular home games. But still, your point stands.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say this though, in terms of the ticket prices across sports, this is what happens. Like, they're gonna charge more when the Cubs play the Cardinals than when the Cubs play the Pittsburgh Pirates, because nobody gives a damn about the Pittsburgh Pirates. But St. Louis Cardinals, though, a rival of the Cubs, they're going to charge for more for that. The Lakers are going to charge way more money when who's the team in the Western Conference? No, the Boston Celtics come to town, as opposed to the Dallas Mavericks without Luka in town. That's how it works in sports. And in college, you're going to pay more money to see Duke in North Carolina than you would to see Duke in UNC
Georgia
Charlotte.
Tech.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah, so that's it. Like, and I don't blame them for paying more for the Black House games, because like those are the games they know people are going to want to see. They're going to want to see them play against Central. They want to see them play against the former MEAC schools. So of course they're going to charge more money for that, because those are games, as we all know, that people are going to show up more for. So I got nothing wrong with that. It's not them being better than everybody else. It's not them thinking that they're too good for the MEAC or Black College sports. No, they see the bottom line. they know how their fans behave, and they're gonna play on that. So they may charge a little bit more money. Who really hurt by that? Nobody really. They're making more money for their school by doing that.
Kendrick, first you called it a black tax, and now you want to defend them for charging the black tax.
Yes, I can do that.
I said what I said, and I stand on what I say. That is disgraceful.
You can't charge the same for Monmouth as you do for
look,
Central.
man. Ain't nobody coming to. You ain't losing no money off of nobody coming to see Monmouth. Just look. I understand it's reserved seating. Just keep it across the board. Just keep it across the board. But in essence, what you are doing is that you are literally leveraging the schools, your opponents, and Kendrick, your point is valid. I get that. I understand. In the greater scheme of things, this is nothing new. But with A&T, this is you are literally straggling the fence. You're charging more for the HBCU games than you are for the schools in your own conference, and they actually mean more than those HBCU games. So all I'm saying is, A&T, you to the higher ups, we see what you're about. I understand it's about that money, but it's just my take. No, I'm not wrong. It's my opinion. I can't be wrong.
I think it's more about if this is consistent. I don't want to speak for A&T because I don't know what the history of their ticket prices and how they have done things in the past. But if this is something that is going to be a habit for you, to where you charge more for the HBCU games are premium games, and then the non-HBCU games have regular ticket prices, then I don't have a problem with it. But if this is just something that you're testing out, and then you go back to your old way of doing things, no, you gotta keep it consistent with your fan base so that they know when these games come up what they're gonna have to spend, because these are a lot of the. I mean, of course, students get in free for the. I don't know how they do it.
Do they?
I don't know if they do it different at the Division I level. Division II, all you gotta do is swipe your student card and you get in. But
good times.
I think it's about keeping it consistent at the end of the day. If you're doing this as a way to test the market for these games, and it blows up in your face, and then you go back to the old way of doing things and making games the same prices, then that's what I would have a problem with. But as Kendrick said, we see it at the pro level all the time. I'd rather see a game with the Lakers go. I would rather pay to see a game with the Lakers playing, or a game with the Celtics playing, as opposed to seeing the New Orleans Pelicans playing with all their best players sitting on the bench. So it's simple to supply and demand, basically, but keep it consistent is all I'm saying.
So, Kim Shai, you want A&T to charge the same price for Central as you do for Monmouth? Is that what you're saying?
I look. I mean, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. I could care less. I'm just simply saying, man.
And it sounded like it 15 minutes ago.
Hey, man, I'm tired of all this.
Look, Kendrick. All I'm saying is this, man. You just said yourself it was a black tax. Did you not just say that?
I said that, but I also can defend the practice, though.
Okay.
Hey, I'm tired of all this Monmouth slander. They had too many greats coming out of Monmouth.
Name me one Monmouth player. Name me one Monmouth player.
There was that one dude that was in that 1 year that was playing that one time, and he made that one play. That dude was crazy. That dude is dope. I don't know his name.
In the Monmouth Hall of Fame, that one dude who made that catch in that one game years ago.
That dude that scored that one touchdown and he celebrated that one time, that dude was crazy.
Hey, I gotta. I just want to say A&T Roy and WSSU Ram Nation, why y'all keep putting DSU in it, man? We struggling enough. I mean, we don't travel well, but why are we in the conversation? I mean, Jesus, but I get the point. But yeah, I mean, honestly, again, I can't find too much fault with it, because the games do have to mean something. But I also see Ken's point that this does feel like a straddling of the fence. But A&T,
I get it, Kendrick. You view it as just good business sense. But just something about this. Look, I look at this. I look at the totality of it, and to me, it stinks. Plain and simple, it does. I get it. I understand. Look, I understand the business element to it. The point that you made, I hear you. It's right on point. But all I'm saying is, man, is that something about it just doesn't sit right to me.
I forgot Miles Austin went to Mama. Hey, ODB, watch it, man.
So to everybody else. So to everybody else. They don't care about Miles Austin with the mamas.
Miles Austin went to Mama?
Miles Austin.
Yep.
Miles Austin was also the recipient of the weirdest commentary Chris Collinsworth has ever uttered in his life.
By the way, can we get the lights up and can we hit the subscribe button, please?
Yes.
Anyway, okay.
Yeah, so are we done with this topic before Ken blows on this top again?
Yeah, let's
Someone said I look upset. I'm not upset. Look, man. This is coming from a place, man. I love A&T. I'm just saying, man. I'm still a little bitter though about the way y'all left, man. I don't hide that, but I'm just saying you want to have the best of both worlds, but you know. You putting this black tax as Kendrick. I'm going to use that, by the way, Kendrick, going forward. A&T imposes black tax.
Let me get it copyrighted first before you use it.
Hashtag respect Monmouth in the chat.
No, we don't respect Monmouth in this chat. No. Speaking of respect, moving on. Speaking of respect, this is a topic that was the brainchild of one Jared Hoffman. We're halfway through the year, almost halfway through the year. He wanted to have us look at currently the best moment so far of 2025. Have a collage there with Alabama State and their miracle win in the tournament in March, the Southern women's basketball team making a run in the tournament too, the dramatic home run to win the SWAC tournament by Bethune-Cookman, and Fisk legend Morgan Price winning the national championship. That's many, many more moments that will be suitable for this topic. So Jared Hoffman, you started this off. So what's your best moment of the first half of 2025 so far?
Well, the Morgan Price thing is kind of is a hard pill to swallow because come this time next year, Fisk's gymnastics program will be disbanded. But that was a incredible moment. Just watching that Alabama State tournament win was one of the most electric feelings I've ever gotten watching an HBCU basketball game. That was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen, and it was something to behold. Like having that success in the tournament, having two teams. This is the first time ever that a men's team and a women's team won a tournament game in the same year. That ever. And we've been in the tournament for 40 years now. And that's the first time a men's and women's team won a game in a tournament in the same year. So I was extremely proud of that and watching that unfold live as it happened. But personally, this year's CIAA tournament was something I'll never forget. Not just the games, but I don't know if you guys know this, but I met Cheryl Swoops and I interviewed Cheryl Swoops. I don't talk about it much. I don't brag about it. You should. I absolutely do. I'm pretending I don't. But I do.
Oh, okay. All right. I was about to say you better.
No. But outside of the unfortunate circumstances behind Angie Stone who was supposed to have performed at the CIAA tournament, but unfortunately lost her life in a car accident. Outside of that, the CIAA tournament was the highlight of my year so far. Not just because I was there, but those games were some of the best. You can never go wrong with the CIAA tournament. You're never going to see bad games at the CIAA tournament. Well, you're going to see bad games, but the majority of the games are going to be great. So you can never go wrong with the CIAA tournament. Glad it's staying in Baltimore. Look forward to continuing to watch it unfold. And yeah, so those have been my highlight of the year so far. And I look forward to my highlight of the year moving forward being this upcoming HBCU football season, particularly in the CIAA, because it's going to be a lot of fun to be had. But yeah, CIAA tournament and Alabama State and Southern winning in the NCAA tournament was my highlights of the year so far.
Kim Sean, what's your moment so far this year?
Bethune-Cookman baseball. It was, if I'm not mistaken, what they had 2 outs. It was in the final inning, right?
Yeah, they were down by 2 runs with 2 outs. 2 men were on base.
2 men on base.
And they got the walk-off home run.
And the walk right. That, I mean, look, that literally is one of those innings as a child. If you're just kind of like just fantasizing, and it is just like the perfect scenario. I mean, we don't see opportunities like that, and I don't think anyone in that stadium thought, and I there's a part of me that thinks Bethune-Cookman was like, well, we tried, we gave it the good old Wildcat. We gave it the good old Wildcat try, and it just wasn't meant to be. Click! Oh! Yeah! Man, look, it's a no-brainer for me. Bethune-Cookman baseball and that inning, and the way that game ended to win the tournament, no-brainer. As far as I'm concerned, it's not even close.
And it took place at Rickwood Field too, like the home of like Negro League baseball.
Yeah.
Which also made it that much special too.
And that was not a cheap home run either. That was 400 straight center. Like he got every single stitch of that pitch. So he socked it. I just looked at it. I saw it, on Twitter, and I was like, yo, if he hit that out, he absolutely earned it. I mean, and it just kept going and going and going, and it was gone. So yeah. Man, that's just one of those things that look, it went viral. ESPN that talked about it. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. It doesn't. In the finals of the conference tournament, doesn't get any better. Mm-mm.
To go to the tournament, which they acquitted themselves very well in the regional round at Florida State. They were in every game.
Yeah.
Chris Stevens, your moment so far that you like the most first half of the year?
Well, I guess you don't get a Hail Mary inbounds pass to beat a team in the NCAA tournament very often. So I think Alabama State definitely ranks as number 1, because that was fun to watch, because watching it among people who don't understand HBCUs and then watching them realize that, hey, these kids are actually good. It's like, we told you. But yeah, I enjoyed that very much. And this, even though this was against my team, we're not talking enough about how the North Carolina Central Delaware State quarterfinal in the MEAC men's tournament ended. Like, that was just absolutely insane basketball all the way down till the end. Central. Do I keep saying A&T when I mean Central? I mean Central. But yeah, Central Delaware State in the MEAC men's quarter was absolutely incredible. Central was up 10. Delaware State chipped their way back. Martez Robinson hits this impossible angled corner 3-pointer to tie it with like 5 seconds left. And Central comes down the floor, gets a reverse layup that bounces around the rim 3 or 4 times like Kawhi Leonard did against the Sixers. Jesus Christ. And that goes in. I mean, there's so much to like about what our schools have done. I mean, Morgan Price, unfortunately, like we said, she's at Arkansas now, and Fisk is going to discontinue gymnastics. But we had so many talented. Oh yeah, Lawrence makes a great point. Shout out to once again to Marcia Say of the Howard women's track team, the bronze medalist in the women's 100 hurdles. Like, she's one of the top 3 hurdlists in the country, in her home country, because she's from Great Britain, by the way. She's from the United Kingdom. So yeah, and I enjoyed the softball tournament as well, the MEAC softball tournament. There was a lot of heavy hitting. Howard, got their get back from falling short last year. South Carolina State Taylor Ames Alexander, she had probably one of the best individual performances any HBCU athlete is going to have this year on a Friday. She hit 2 home runs in the morning elimination game, then came back and hit the go-ahead home run against Delaware State in the semifinals to get to the championship round. So, and even though they lost to Howard, Taylor Ames Alexander was the MEAC Player of the Year by a country mile, and just watching her show out when her team needed it the most was unbelievable. But yes, just across the board, we have so many talented athletes at every level: Division I, Division II, NAIA, SIAC, CIAA, MEAC, SWAC, HBCUAC. This is what we do. This is why we do this, y'all. I mean, we come here to give you guys the goods. We don't come here to give you the negative. We come here to give you guys the goods. And this, just the fact that 6 months of the year we've had some exciting things happening, and then of course we got the back end, which of course promises to be exciting with football, basketball, and other things. 2025 is going to be a great year. It's already off to a great start.
Yeah, and I just want to really highlight how amazing our teams have done in these national tournaments. I was there when Norfolk State's women played Maryland in an NCAA tournament, and they were there to win. We've seen a lot of times we were fighting just to keep the game close. Norfolk State was there to win, and
should have won. They got cheated by the refs.
And all the track and field athletes at the Division I, the Division II, NAIA level that are making it to the finals of events at these national tournaments. Tyson Williams from Johnson C. Smith actually won the indoor title in the 200 meters. So all the top 3, top 5 finishes that we've had in the Division II track and field championships, this is probably the best Division II track and field championship performance I've seen our athletes have in a long time. So, and then you see the national baseball tournaments and how we've been in those games and had a chance to win those games. When in years past, baseball was kind of overlooked and nobody really paid attention to it. Like, I really applaud how we are coming to compete to win in these national tournaments, when the narrative in years past is we're just fighting to keep the game close and show that we have a little bit of something. We're coming to win now, and I think that's really what I'm really proud of this year, is how we're leveling up and stepping up our performances when it matters most. So yeah, that's something that I really wanted to highlight, is how great we have done in these national tournaments across multiple sports.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a really good, fantastic first half of the year for Black college sports. We mentioned them, all those moments here. I'm just excited for like the back half, what football is going to bring to us, what basketball is going to bring to us. So I'm excited about it. But my top moment obviously is going to be the tournament. Alabama State, Amar Knox hitting that shot to win the game over St. Francis. They got so upset about that game, they decided not to be a Division I team anymore. That's what happened with him. No, but seriously though, like that was a pretty cool moment. Plus the fact, like his now fiance plays for Southern, and they won the tournament game. So it's all love and basketball combined with actual March Madness is pretty cool too. So hopefully there will be more the remainder of the year so far. And our last topic, as always, when we do the round table, is the off topic. And so there's no slide for this one. I got lazy at the end. Family, work, stuff like that. Really can't do it all.
And yet you keep asking me for more money.
Asking for more money? What are you talking about?
You couldn't do the last slide?
No.
Okay.
This is for you, Ken Rashad, and the public. Not for me.
Okay. You're charging me a black tax by not doing what but yet you want more money.
You're gonna wear that term out, aren't you? You're gonna wear it out, huh?
I love you, Kendrick.
No, you don't.
It wouldn't be an HBCU sports podcast without Ken and Kendrick arguing about him getting paid too much.
Telling y'all, man, Kornheiser and Wilbon, man.
No, you started. You couldn't even do the last slide for the last segment.
Doesn't need a last slide.
Okay.
But anyway, so we're in the middle of summer now, and so I thought, well, with kids out of school and people going on vacations and spending more time at home, at least a little bit, decided, what are we watching on TV? What are we streaming? What are we binge watching for the summer? There's some great shows out. I'm probably the last person on earth who has yet to see Love Island. I've
No,
read
you're not.
about it. I've seen the clips on Twitter,
You're not.
but haven't been
You're
tempted to watch it.
You're not.
Am I missing something by not watching it? Am I
Couldn't
missing
tell
out?
you because I
I
haven't
don't
seen
watch
none of them.
reality shows, so I don't know.
Well, no, you're not. I've never even heard of it.
Wow. So we got
What is
4
Love
million
Island?
members who haven't heard of it. Okay.
What is Love Island?
It's basically like a dating show in an exotic location,
Us?
pretty much. It's a few black folk on there.
Oh,
I don't watch none of them reality shows.
I'm out. Yeah, I don't. No.
So we're gonna go around the room and feel free to chime in the chat about what you guys are binge watching this summer or want to binge watch this summer. So I'm gonna start this off with Chris Stevens.
Man, I'm gonna tell you something. Smart TVs are a wonderful invention. Because of Tubi and Pluto, I have caught up on TV shows that I watched as a child and as a young adult that I missed, that I enjoyed watching as a kid. Like, I spent an entire Sunday while I was, baking because I had to, people request my cakes. If you don't know, my cream cheese pound cake is a local hit here in Wilmington, Delaware. So, I had a request for that. But and if Stephen Campbell is still watching, yes, I'm still having fat boy fantasies. But I've been catching up on everything from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, just rewatching that, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original seasons, like the new versions of the Turtles, I can't get with it. But the ones that I watched as a pup, very much enjoy those. I also have been catching up on anything I might have missed, during college, sports season, if I go back and watch a football game on ESPN Plus or so. But mostly my time honestly is spent mostly on the WNBA app because I enjoy watching the women play. And no, this is not, I'm not a Caitlin Clark come lately fan. I've been watching the W since Lisa Leslie, Teresa Weatherspoon, Rebecca Lobo, Cheryl Swoops, Jennifer Gillum, Yolanda Griffith. Like, I go back to the W's beginning. So most of my time these days is either on Pluto, Tubi, or the W app. And quite frankly, I enjoy the W app, especially since the Golden State Valkyries, the expansion team, had Caitlin Clark in the penitentiary last night. That was so much fun to watch this morning.
Kim Rashad.
I'm laughing at A&T Roy saying that every time I say black tax, I got to pay A&T $5.
See, there it is. There's the black tax.
I just finished. I was late, but look, I'm gonna tell you now. I'm a big fan of every single Power series that series of Power episode.
They call it a universe when those shows.
The Power universe. There you go. I'm a fan of all of them. I can't get enough of them. That Raising Canaan. The funny thing is that every time, because they go in cycles now, and every single time they go off and they come on, I'm like, that's my favorite one. That's my favorite one. Power was like it for me, but I can't get enough of it. And so what's coming on now? What's the next one? Is the one with Tommy?
I think so. I mean, I stopped watching after Tommy killed Angela, so I can't tell you what happened with Kanan and Raising Kanan in book 2 and all of that.
Yeah, well,
I've never seen a single episode of Power.
What?
Never seen a single episode.
What?
The first couple seasons was lit, but after a while, it just got silly.
No, man. I'll tell you.
Always late to the party on
I'll tell you what's gotten silly. Is that what's the name of that series that I know you don't say which one? The one that Tyler Perry wrote.
I mean, yeah, which one?
Yeah, which one? Because he got a bunch of them. You talking about the comedy ones? You talking about the drama?
Which one is this? Well, it's the drama. The one with I call it the one with the strippers.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. I can't remember.
Y'all know which one I'm talking about. The one with the strippers.
I watch his comedies. I don't watch his drama.
Oh, the comedies are.
Well,
the comedies were okay. The ones
that old comedies.
Yeah, the old comedies were what Force.
He's
Force?
he's in a real life drama right now though.
Was it Force? That wasn't it. That wasn't the name of it, was it?
Nah,
Yeah, it's
I
all the
think he's
Queens.
talking about something else.
Lawrence got it. All the Queen's Men.
Oh, well, no, the one where they the chick who was trying to, they strippers, man. They
strippers. Oh, P Valley.
no,
P-Valley.
that's not
No.
Tyler Perry. Matter of fact,
Thank goodness it
I
ain't.
call it a P Valley knockoff.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I just can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, I know what I'm talking
I
about,
don't
man.
know.
You're talking about the Oval?
No, it ain't the Oval. Hell no.
That's what I'm saying. That's what it is.
That's the only drama I know.
What is it called?
I
No,
don't know.
nobody in the chat knows what that series is, man. I guess that's just how irrelevant
you're
it is.
watching
All right,
it.
let's look
You
at
should
his
know what the name
catalog.
of
No,
it.
I'm not. I'm watching it. I think I've watched it all. But okay.
Zatima?
Who?
Zatima?
I don't know, man. Okay.
Edwin and another person in
All
chat
the
say
Queens
all the
Men.
Queens Men. It's
Is
got
that what it's called?
That must be it. 'Cause
Okay, the one that the chick had the butt implants.
the BBL.
Yeah.
Yeah, it said. I'm looking on the All the Queen's Men. The description of the show. It says that it's about a Madam Swaggers as a fierce businesswoman who rules in all of the lucrative.
No,
exotic
I
nightlife.
don't think that's it, man. That ain't it. Anyway, all I will say is this, but the point is, I watched it only because I don't know. I kind of got some things. Someone was trying to say that there were a lot of people who said that the people in that series couldn't act. And I'm like, nah, man, Debbie Morgan can act. Debbie Morgan is in that series. There are like some veteran actors who are in that series and they can act. But it goes to my point that I've made to people whenever they've made these arguments, especially as it relates to Beauty and Black. That's it. Thank you. Beauty and Black. That's what it is. The concept in and of itself is a good one. But see, this is where it goes into one of those things where people talk about writers. Because Tyler Perry writes all of his own stuff, man. And I'm telling you, it shows. It ain't good. It ain't.
Yeah,
The concept to a lot of these movies are like really good. I give them like, okay, that's original. I like it, but the writing is horrible. And I think that's been kind of one of the things that people are like, yo, man, go out and get your right. Because I'm telling you now, the writing for all of the Power series, excellent. And I don't think there's enough credit given to that, because I'm just telling you now, that's the reason why I put it like this. I try to watch Tyler Perry movies because I hear a lot of people clown him from time to time with these movies. But the way I see it is that, you got these white writers and these white producers and directors and so forth, man, they can go out and make bad movies all day long and they can continue to make movies. And the way I see it is that I think we still have the right to support Tyler Perry. And I think Tyler Perry has the right to make bad movies. If, what I'm saying is, and we have the ability to critique him based upon the quality of that movie. It's either good or bad. But I say we support him for that very reason. White writers make bad movies all the time, and believe me, I've seen more than that fair share of them. But Tyler Perry, there's some good things that he puts out there, but some of the stuff, man, I'm just like, you know what? This is a good concept, but you need some writers, bro. And this ain't happening. That Beauty and Black, I think, man, that had a lot going for it. It just, the fact that the dialogue and some of the scenes are just way too long, this simplistic, it just doesn't go. Get you some writers, man. But that's what I've been watching.
I want to say about Tyler Perry, he really lost the recipe when he stopped doing plays. Because them plays,
is that what it is?
Them plays used
because
to be
great point. Great point.
I grew up on Tyler Perry. You go to my dad's house, we have a line of all of his plays and his old movies. It's night and day from what he does now. Like all his older stuff, Medea's class reunion, Medea's family reunion, I Can Do Battle by Myself, Medea Goes to Jail. I'm talking about the plays, not the movie Medea Goes to Jail or I Can Do Battle by Myself. The plays used to be an experience. And if you went to one of his plays and it wasn't the one that he was using for the DVD, that was even more entertaining than the official release of the play. Like he would improvise with the audience. He see somebody walking in late, he'd be like, "No, don't start walking in late now." Like making you feel a part of the experience. Like I feel like maybe I don't know if that's it because I don't watch none of his drama stuff.
I think the plays because they were like his comedies and the series, some of the sitcoms that came out early when he first went that route. I think those were good. You can get away with that because you expect silliness. You expect it to be funny. But I'm thinking once he got into like some of the serious stuff, like for instance, now someone said Straw. I hadn't seen Straw yet, and I guess the overall consensus is that it's been pretty good.
But even A Family That Prays, that's not a comedy, but that's a great movie. Of course, it's because he has great actors in it. But like A Family That Prays was a great movie,
right? But that's what I'm saying. It's been hit and miss. Like I like The Family That Prays. That was good. I actually like what's that? It was what Taraji was it? Acrimony? Is that what it was called?
I think so. Yeah.
I actually thought that was pretty good. But I'm saying, I'm not saying they've all been busts, but I'm talking about that. But that Beauty in Black, man, that just and yet watch if it comes out again for another season, I'm gonna watch it. Watch. I'm just saying, So
yeah, I think one thing. I'm watching. I'm like Chris. I like going back and watching classics. So I'm glad that Jamie Foxx show is now on.
Oh
Netflix.
wow!
I have watched. It's on where?
It's on Netflix. Jamie Foxx show is on Netflix.
Oh man, I gotta go back and watch that now.
Bro,
wow!
I have watched the driving school episode about 5 times, and every single time, Don Curry. Man,
did I give you
break the speed, man?
Did I give you permission to speak, boy? You damn right it was a square. It's a square just like you a square. L7 square.
Watching the actors in the background break and not even be ashamed about it, man. And then, of course, Martin is also on Netflix. Of course.
Oh, Martin is? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I have watched that. The scene I'm talking about. That man pulling that dog. And making Tommy, man, every single time. And then they're punctuated with the sit, lay, man. And then bruh man coming out and be like, thanks for letting me borrow your CD player. You ain't get the note I left for you under the bathroom sink. And he's like, why would you leave a note under the bathroom sink? I figured you looked there. I used up all your toilet paper. Man, I'm having a good time enjoying. I
gotta go find that, and I also gotta go find Claudine.
Oh wow.
GTD.
Wow.
Now, Tommy, what does GTD stand for? Mr. Jones. Tommy, I don't think they heard you. I just told you, man. You are in a court of law. They can't hear you. Your honor, you're gonna have to make a speak up. What does GTD stand for? God.
And then the funniest part that nobody ever talks about is that man going around high-fiving everybody with the drawers in his hand.
And Martin picking up the court phone. I'm saying he just put it on there. Mr. Payne. Yeah, he got the drawers.
A while back, I did go back and watch some of I actually watched Heat of the Night. I couldn't stand that series when it first came out, but now that I've gotten older, man, I wouldn't watch it at the time that it came out, man. It was actually pretty powerful.
Yeah, but as far as the newer shows that I'm getting into, I really like Godfather of Harlem.
There you go. Yeah. That is good.
I was wondering what it was going to be. I was wondering what it was going to be like with Malcolm.
Yeah, it is good.
Spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it, but I was wondering what it was going to be like without Malcolm. But the introduction of Frank Lucas.
Yeah, man.
Go to an entirely new level.
They do an excellent job of taking real life events and kind of woven into a something that I can see how that happens. They address a lot of gaps. And
because there's a lot that's not
for Frank Lucas to come in, man. I'm like, oh my goodness. All right.
There's a lot that's not known about Frank Lucas and Bumpy Johnson's relationship in real life. There's a lot of speculation. Like if you look it up, there's a lot of speculation about what their relationship was. Frank Lucas saying that he was his cab driver for 15 years, but that's kind of contradictory because Bumpy Johnson was in prison, and then after a while, when he was released from prison, he passed away. So there's a lot that's not known. So like this does a great job of like towing the line between what possibly could have
Could have
happened,
happened,
like,
right?
and then,
Yeah.
Right.
like putting their own twist on the story. So I really
Right.
like that. I'm getting into the Miss Pat show. I love Miss Pat. Like her personality is just through the roof. I really love her. And what's something else I'm watching? Like this, I'm with Chris. Like getting into the WNBA season has been great. Like
Right.
I'm really interested in seeing Paige Beckers continuing to develop. Rike Ogunbowale, that's my favorite player. So I'm curious what's going to happen to her because I can't imagine that she'll be there much longer. And yeah, just of course CC and Indiana Fever begrudgingly is actually looking very good and could potentially, but Minnesota, and it's looking like a New York Minnesota collision course.
Again,
So
yeah.
Kendrick Marshall, what are you watching?
Well, I'm just like Chris and Jared. I've been like watching old shows, and one of them I've come to discover is Maud.
Maud?
Yes, Maud. Yeah, would be off with
Be
the
Arthur?
author,
Yeah.
the author, and the dad from
Maud?
Different Strokes, and Esther Rolle, who was the mom in Good Times. It's a very funny show.
Damn, you, James.
Also,
Maud?
to make
Yes.
an HBCU tie into that show, Howard's own Donnie Hathaway performs the theme song for Maud.
If he does, yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
Is that Donnie Hathaway?
Yes, it is. And then there's Maud. That's him.
Wow.
and
Maud, man, that's a
And
show.
and the thing about those shows like Maud and all
I know
the
that's right,
Family-
Ozzy Clark. I'm like, wow, Maud. I know that's right.
Yeah, and the thing about those shows like that one, All in the Family, and the Jeffersons, and those shows of that era, they talked about the issues of the day, and a lot of those issues of the day are similar to the ones we talk about today, like racism and women's rights and abortion. And there was an episode of All in the Family where they discussed violence against a trans person. For
All
the
those
70s, that was kind of the groundbreaking.
All those shows have a common theme.
They're written by the same guy.
There you go. What's his
Norman
name?
I forgot.
Norman Lear.
Norman Lear,
Norman-
man.
It's right. Yeah, Norman Lear, yeah.
Yeah.
He just passed away. I mean, that man lived to a good 100 years
Yeah.
old,
Yeah.
collecting all them checks off of them shows,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, folks would think those shows back then who live now are woke, just based on the storylines and things they talk about. Seriously.
Because they dumb. They didn't learn anything.
they just hijacked the meaning of woke.
Completely.
Oh well,
Yes,
gentlemen.
I've been binge watching that, and like some Netflix documentaries I've binge watched. I watched the one on Jerry Springer.
What?
That was actually hilarious.
Really?
Jerry.
Yes, like the producers of the show would like just call people and tell them like, we heard about your story regarding you wanting to marry your sister. Would you want to come on our show and talk about it? And they will like have them show up to the studio like at 4:30 in the morning, get them like for hair and makeup, and like create conflict among them like WWE style. And Jerry Springer would like be all for it. He was like a really like a moral guy, despite the fact his show wasn't anything like that. But like they'll create this conflict between like the guests on the show, make them fight, stuff like that. It was crazy. Then I watched Mr. McMahon's the documentary. He was like the scum of the earth.
Yeah.
Like the way they treated women in the WWE was like shameful.
For as someone who used to watch wrestling back in the day, a lot of that stuff is just like
A lot of stuff WWE did when I still watch it. I mean, because it's in a lot better shape because Vince is gone now. But the stuff that, I laughed at as a teenager is stuff that, makes me cringe now that I'm an adult. So yeah, Vince was a horrible person. And now
ain't funny no more. Yeah,
and now we got to live with his wife as the Secretary of Education. Jesus, Lord help us.
that won't exist anymore.
His sense of humor is weird.
Very.
It's
Very.
for a 60-plus-year-old man.
Oh, he's 80 now. He's 80 now.
No, back then. I'm talking about
yeah.
back then when I watched, because I ain't watched WWE since like 2013. So like his sense of humor back then was just weird. Like making fun of Jim Ross's real life Bell's palsy, or I forget, I'm sorry if it's, I don't know if it's cerebral or Bell's palsy that he has.
No,
It was Bill's palsy.
yeah.
Yes, Bell's. Okay. So like making fun of that and then making fun of people's weight who weren't fat, by the way. People who weren't fat, he making fun of people's weight and all this stuff. And then all the poop jokes. It's like, how old are we? But like,
I mean, like wrestling more than like any other, I guess, genre of entertainment, they play really heavily on like racial stereotypes, gender stereotypes, sexual stereotypes. So the content that we saw back then was just a continuation of what's been going on for like a long time. Like I really remember it when it came out with like the wrestler Kamala.
oh my god,
from Africa. No, he wasn't from Africa. He was from like somewhere like in the South, but not from Africa. Like just playing up
King,
that
the African
character.
Dream, a King,
Yeah.
the African Dream, who was white as snow.
From South Carolina, a guy
From
named
South
George
Carolina.
Gray.
Yeah.
Like,
They had that man jive dancing to the ring with a dude with a Jerry curl named Slick with a theme song called Jive Soul Bro.
Hey, I will say this for those of you who have Netflix, I highly recommend a series called Unseen. It's a series that takes place in South Africa, in Johannesburg, not Johannesburg, but what's that down there on the coast? Cape Town. Oh man, a lot of good South African movies and shows on Netflix, but Unseen is one that I highly recommend. And if you're in for a long one, I think they just completed season 2. Oh my goodness, got to see it. It's cold-blooded. You got to check it out.
and of course, I gotta mention that I'm always watching First 48. Love First 48. Just I love like those investigation shows, like those real life investigation shows. I love there was what's the name of that the Cecil Hotel documentary. If you ain't seen that, that's on Netflix as well. I think it's called something called Cecil Hotel. It's about a woman who goes missing in the Cecil Hotel. They see her riding in an elevator and she gets off the elevator and she's never seen again. Like that.
That's crazy.
That documentary is so interesting to me. I'm always watching reruns of First 48. I love watching Live PD. Man, watching Cops back in the day and now watching Live PD and just seeing the bunch of people who don't need to be criminals because they just too stupid. Oh my God. There was this, I don't know if y'all have ever seen this video, but there's this dude who's getting arrested. I mean, he's getting stopped. He's in a traffic stop. And they're searching the car and he has a bag with him. And in front of the police officer, with the police officer looking directly at him, he tries to discreetly throw the bag, but he launches it. And the police officer immediately like, get on the ground. And then he opens the bag and of course there's pills in it. Idiots. These criminals are idiots.
Okay.
But I love watching those shows.
Chris, go ahead and say that thing that you say.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for hanging with us through our technical difficulties for this edition of the Roundtable on the HBCU Sports YouTube network. We greatly appreciate your time as always. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, become a level 1 or a level 2 member. And for Super Chat for $4.99 a month, you can get all of the HBCU sports that's fit to broadcast as we like to give it to you. You can donate to us via the Zelle app at donate@hbcusports.com, or you can go directly to the website, hbcusports.com/donate. Don't forget to follow us on all manners of social media. We are on the Musty app. We're on Blue Sky, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, Instagram. Just search for HBCU Sports. And don't forget the second annual. Remember, there's no such thing as the first annual. It is inaugural. Last year was the inaugural. This year, it is the second annual HBCU Sports Awards, Saturday, July 26th. We're going to be live. We're going to give, our awards to the best and brightest in HBCU sports in 2025. And that's it. I mean, we thank you for hanging with us on this Friday. We hope you all enjoy your weekend. For those of you in the Eastern Seaboard, stay cool because the heat wave is coming. Everybody else, y'all know what to do. We'll check y'all out the next time.
HBCU Sports 101, the book is coming out in just a few weeks.